Hi, everybody. I'm back again today, and I wanted to talk to you about something that is very observable and personally experienced in our society, which is being overwhelmed and having to handle the everyday experiences and changes, and why we feel so exhausted from it all. I thought I'd go through that. I'll use some of my own personal stuff as examples, but I think you can relate. People come to me really basically exhausted, and they have tried everything, and they have jobs, but maybe they don't like them, or they have relationships that are not working, and they have to keep going because the stress levels are so enormous. They have high-priced groceries. You know, you just go to McDonald's and, somebody just told me they had just breakfast at McDonald's. And there were, I think, 3 or 4 people, and it was $45. And you get an egg McMuffin and some sausages, and it's $45 for, I think, maybe 4. And so this is what has happened to us. And so we're bombarded by sort of negative stuff constantly, and the pressure is on because everything is going faster. We're moving faster physically, and society is moving faster. And of course, we're in a country that the United States is this number 5, which is all about movement and change, and it's constant movement and change. But the human species, if you look at our roots and go back to our development, we were hunter-gatherers, and we walked and we walked and we walked. And sometimes we didn't get food, sometimes we didn't eat, but we walked and we killed what we could eat, and we plucked the berries, and we lived a very different life. And that's how our bodies are built. They're not built to sit in a chair, drive to an office, commute for an hour and a half. We're not built to do these 20,000 jobs that we have to do, especially single parents. It's a lot of work. I've been there, I know. And we go through these periods of having money and not having money and all that. I can remember years and years ago when I went through a divorce, and I didn't have any money at that time. It was fortunately short-lived, but I didn't have any money. And I remember my little son saying to me, "Are we poor?" And I said, "No, we're broke." And he looked at me like, "Huh?" And I said, "There's a huge difference between broke and being poor." I said, "Poor is not as temporary, can last a long time. Broke is temporary. You're out of money today. We'll wait, we'll do things, it will change, and we won't be broke again, at least not for a while." So that you have to kind of give a perspective. And sometimes people's charts will tell them how they can handle an emotional problem in their life, or how they're going to be prone to handle it. Some people are more detached than others. Some people get bogged down in all the emotions of it. So you want to look at your life and see, and this is where you want to know the mystical side of your life, the part that's invisible to you that you kind of stuff down and you don't take a look at. You just keep going and working and doing a day in and day out. And then find out overwhelming is starting to take part of your life, and exhaustion, and you don't have any time for yourself or for really managing yourself appropriately, or your life. It's just sort of running you. And so there's times a point where you have to take a look and say, what the heck do I do? And I have, at the present time, I have a husband who had a brain injury, who's in a facility, and I have to manage that. And then I have to manage other things of an injury, and I have to manage, issues with some of my kids, and just stuff, and it doesn't stop. And then in order to put him in the facility, I had to sell the house and move to a small place, which is not particularly good, but it's temporary, I hope. So we make these changes, and we cannot let them take us down and drown us. We need to stop and say, wait a minute, what about me? What do I need to do to step away emotionally from this so it doesn't take me down with it? And that's what I want to mention to you. Depending on the energy of your chart, remember, your name, date of birth will give you a life path, okay, from the date of birth, and it will tell you the timing. The name will tell you your issues, your talents, your karmic conditions, if so, and where it's all coming in and how it's working in this life. But when you took your first breath at birth, you come through a constellation So I come through the sign of Aquarius. That's my constellation. So I have to learn about the qualities of an Aquarian. It's an air sign. So I will take a look. What is my energy package the time I took my first breath? The moon was where in the sky? The Venus was where in the sky? Saturn was where in the sky? In that constellation at that time. That sets up my energy package. That sets how I'm going to move through life. So there's a lot of earth and air in my chart. There's some fire. So I will mainly reason something, stay grounded, look at a more practical side of things, and say somebody who has a lot of water in their chart, or they're a water sign and they got a lot of water, moons and Venuses and all that stuff going on. So they're going to be more emotional. So how can we understand ourselves better by understanding our blueprints, charts, and our energy package? Remember, you got an energy package. How you relate to a lot of this stuff depends on your energy package. So one of the things that I had to learn was to breathe. So when stuff comes down the road, stop somehow. Even if you're sitting in a car, I don't care what you have to do, slow down that breathing. Okay? Just do it, and don't right or wrong, just slow it down. It's going to take the sting out of the stuff, especially if somebody just gave you the finger on the freeway. And the other thing too is count to 10 in your head. Somebody's exploding in your workplace. They're just going off or being really jerks. I think they're God disguised as idiots. So you might think that's God disguised as an idiot. But when you're in the heat of the moment, you're not going to say God's disguised as an idiot. You're going to count to 10. Because when you count to 10, each number has a different vibration. It will literally calm you down in your head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It takes the sting out. So these are two. You must use these when you get in these awful, awful, awful conditions. And you have to understand that our society does not really, it's going to keep going the way it's going until it can't. And so we were brought in, we formed as a country, this 5 country was formed with the rights of the individual. So everything is pull yourself up by the bootstraps. But as a friend mentioned to me, what if you don't have any boots, you only have flip-flops? How are you going to pull yourself up? All right? I saw a woman the other day, I'm in LA, so I saw a woman walking on the street, and I thought, she really, you could tell, she was homeless. You could tell at one time she was really, really attractive. And I'm like, whoa. And there was a man who wasn't really with her, but was following her. It was another homeless man. And I'm looking at this woman, and I was like, oh, what a loss. And I'm waiting at the light. And then I'm like, well, wonder where she's going. And then I look down, and she doesn't have any shoes on. And here she's walking the sidewalk. And I'm like, that is so horrible. And that's what it is. And what's her story? A lot of it's mental illness. One of the reasons we have such high drug problem in the United States is the loss of ourselves, the connection. We pride ourselves as individual. We break up families. We don't have these long extended families that we had of the 1800s. We have a heavy drug problem, and that's basically self-medication. Drug problems are always a component of self-medication. We're trying to medicate the pain away of loss, separation, or bad self-esteem, and there's nobody there, or there wasn't anybody there, or we came in with some mental illness, and we try to self-medicate that way. And so until we address these issues, that's going to keep going on. And right now, America doesn't really want to address the issues. It just wants to talk about it. But know that that's going on. Know that you have a life that needs to be still at times. Still yourself. Calm yourself through breath, through counting through 10. Okay, don't rush through it like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You don't do it that way. You just calmly 1, 2, 3, and breathe, at least 3 times. Take 3 deep breaths. If you can take 3 more, good. Sometimes we can't. But breathing will always calm you down. It'll get your blood pressure down. It calms you. Okay? You do not have to react. When somebody behaves a certain way, you do not have to react. It's your choice. You don't have to respond. When somebody tries to tell you what you should do about this, you can always say, don't worry, I've taken care of it. Don't worry, I've taken care of it. So these are just some techniques Understand we're living in a hothouse in America, the number 5 country. It kind of goes off the rails, which it's doing right now. We have all these things going on, but every generation has their issues. This just seems to be so prevalent and so awful, but we've been through much worse, much worse here in America. So just kind of don't get too overwhelmed. If I say that, it sounds corny, but do your best to help yourself and treat yourself well. Slow down, calm down, cut out stuff that robs you of your time. Remember, you want to think, what am I investing my energy, time, and money in? These are your resources. So how am I investing my time? Eliminate, simplify, be still. Learn stillness, learn to be calm. Learn to be calm. Practice being calm. Practice being still. Okay, so by now, I hope I've calmed myself down. I hope I've calmed you down. And I look forward to talking with you on our next YouTube. You know, I get so many questions every time I do a video. I'm always glad to get them. But one of the things I realize is that you really could be served very well by getting a private session. If it's not with me, get one somewhere. Try not to do the just the ones online, the printouts. Get really one that really knows what they're doing, because this is going to really help you. And that's the whole idea, is to get you the help now and forward in your life. And I think whether you would like to do it with me, that's fine, or someone else, just get it done.